Hello, 'tis I, Bulldog. Welcome to the experience. My cup is full. My bowl is full. And I'm just full of joy to see you all again. Thank you again for showing up and coming to the experience. If you like what you see, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Grow my channel. Yeah, because I have a lot of interesting people, and today I have a very interesting guest. His name is Chris Warrilow. He is the owner-operator of Fantastic Creations, a place where you can get all manner of weapons and uniforms and anything. You might have seen his work in television shows. We'll discuss that during the interview. And so, I guess without further ado, Bulldog, Chris, take it away. All right. My next guest is a man of many talents, of many deranged and wonderful things at his shop, Fantastic Creations. You probably have seen many of his props in film and television all over Canadian TV and film. I'm pleased to welcome to the Bulldog Experience, Mr. Chris Warrilow. Cheers,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Good
Thank
afternoon,
you.
Bulldog.
Thank you for joining me on my on this.
How could I say no?
Of course, of course. So you're doing all right? How's everything?
I am healthy. I've gotten both of my vax shots. I'm mostly busy.
Mostly busy. That's always good.
So in the industry, it's feast or famine. And I have made the big mistake of saying yes too often and suddenly discovering that I don't have enough time to get everything done. So I'm scrambling and working on that sort of stuff. So we'll go with mostly busy.
Well, that's great. That's great. Speaking of the industry, let's speak of the industry. So how did you fall into this? Was it something from childhood that you were like, man, I wish I could make that sword for that show, or that gun was totally the wrong era for that particular blah blah blah? Like how was it? What grabbed you to say that yes, this is it?
Oddly enough, I had that same question asked of me earlier today by a client who was in picking up some stuff. Short answer: I've been doing this my entire life. Long answer. So I started building stuff when I was, 4 or 5 years old. My parents dropped me off at my grandmother's for the day while they went off and worked. And I would find the tape and scissors and paper, and I would be making things in her living room, in the basement. I made all sorts of weird stuff. I had a Snoopy doll with the spacesuit, so I built him a space capsule out of a 2-liter cardboard milk carton and some creamers containers. So I've been building stuff for literally as long as I can remember.
That's amazing.
When I got into high school, I took the technical theater course. The technical course, which meant I did plumbing and woodworking and drafting and electronics and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And one day, like first day of school, I think I was grade 10 or 11. And my buddy met me in the hall and said, "Hey, Chris, what you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm going off to computer sciences." And he said, "Who's teaching computer sciences?" And I said, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so." And my buddy said, "Well, Mr. So-and-so doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground with regards to computers. Why don't you come with me to the theater arts class?" I said, "Oh, okay." And then I spent the next few years going to all the theater arts classes. discovered that I really, really liked it. Applied to Humber College and went to technical theater in Humber. A couple years after that, one of my Humber College student companions.
Compatriots.
Thank you, compatriots.
That's
one of
all right.
those words. He said, "Hey, Chris, I understand you collect weapons." And I said, "Yep. We're doing a production of The Death Trap, and the description of the set says it's covered in weapons, and we were wondering if we could borrow your weapons." I said, "Sure, sounds like a plan." And a couple months later, they said, "We're doing the show again. Can we borrow your weapons again?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And about 3 months after that, I get a phone call from this guy that I did not know. And he said, "Hi, we're doing a production of Death Trap, and we were wondering if we could borrow the weapons from you." And all of a sudden, the penny dropped. Maybe I should be renting these things out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it started. In 1990, January 1st of 1990, I registered my business. So that's 31 years ago. A while.
That's all right. That's all right. So it's been at it ever since, yeah?
In one way or another, yes.
That's amazing. I wish I could take your camera and flip it around to show people the size of your I've been there many of a time, and you have pretty well literally everything. Like I can't.
I don't know if I quite go that far, but I do have a lot of stuff.
The other day I was there, and
Yep.
somebody came in and was looking for a particular bone saw, and you're like, "Oh, what era?" And so you start like pulling up all these pictures of like particular saws, and you're like, "This era of bone saw or this era of bone saw? Where are we at?" Like, yeah, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, and like it's amazing the vastness of amount of stuff you've accumulated over these years. It is quite the sight to behold. What things? What's your particular? Do you have anything that you favored in on when you're building, or is there like a sort of a niche that you're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to jump in on that"?
The new thing, the thing I haven't done before.
Oh yeah,
That's what I want to do next.
It's not just it's always the challenge. It's the next big step, right?
I have built many swords. I have done lots of leather work. I have done many molds and casts of things. So I'm always looking for the next new thing, something that I haven't done before, something that I can add to my collection of knowledge, the weird things that I know how to do. Oh, I could do that. Really? I didn't know anybody did that. Well, I needed to learn how to do that for a show, so I did.
Nice.
And it'll most likely be one of those things that I'll do once and never do it again.
But this, after, like you said, 31 years of having the business, but a lifetime of doing this, it must, the challenge that are put forward to you, like you're always willing to like jump onto them, yeah? Or has there been anything that you've been like, no?
There have been a few things that I wish I have said no to. I had a gentleman in here a while ago. This is a thing that I did say no to, is they wanted me to build a model of a particular ferry or steamboat. I can't remember. There's a story about this large ocean-going ferry that sank, and they were doing a documentary on it.
Oh, okay.
And when I calculated how big the model was going to be, the model itself was going to be 25 feet long. And
That's a little bit
and it
much.
was and it was 1/35th scale was the size they wanted it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you think about that, so when you go into a hobby store and you buy a model tank, most model tanks are built in 1/35th scale, thereabouts. There are some in very a little bigger, some a little smaller, but
Yeah.
that'll give you an idea. 1/35th means that an average human being would be approximately about 1.5 to 2 inches tall.
Yeah, I played with models, World War II models, and that I can see
Exactly.
the size comparison and all that. But
So
dear
built
God,
on
that's huge.
exactly. I had to turn that down because I
That's almost
literally do not have a big enough space to build that.
that's almost just go and hire a shipbuilder. Might as well.
Pretty much. I sent them off to my favorite hobby store and said, these guys deal with most of the big time builders in the city. They'll probably be able to direct you and somebody else who can do this project.
Oh wow, that's bizarre. Wow. So is there any particular show or film that you've done that your creations have fantastically shown up in that you want to like drop a name or two that's something that particularly makes your heart swell with pride when you think back on it and they're like, oh, that one was really, really good.
I did a fair bit of stuff for Warehouse 13. And I mentioned that show because not only was I happy with the stuff I did for them, but I really liked the show.
Mm-hmm.
I've done stuff for Murdoch Mysteries. Pretty much every season, I have done a handful of things for them. You probably wouldn't notice most of the stuff I do for them because it's we need to beat somebody to death with an oar. So I made soft oars out of foam for them. So you wouldn't notice that work. My favorite thing that I did for them was the giant 10-foot robot who he's standing in the corner just behind me. I wish I could get him on camera.
That's fine. It's still pretty impressive.
I did stuff for Pacific Rim. I've done stuff for What We Do in the Shadows. I did stuff for the upcoming show Station 11.
What We Do in the Shadows, was that the TV series or was that the movie?
The TV series.
I find that hard to believe because I was on The Boys season 3 and we were kitty corner to the props department. So I saw their prop shop and there is vast. Like they had like pallets stacked high, like rows upon rows of stuff, and you were able to sneak in on that one. Bravo, sir. I'm quite
yes. I can't tell you what I did for any of these shows.
Oh, that's fine
because they aren't out yet.
Okay, that's fine. We'll hush.
I have done stuff for The Boys.
Oh, okay.
I've done stuff for Umbrella Academy. Again, all of I can't tell you what I did for these things because they haven't been released yet.
That's fine. It's stuff is it's known that stuff is and like you're
done. Yes,
you're obviously a person that a lot of people go to. I met you through Dan, who actually I'm interviewing him tomorrow. Matter of fact, to keep things rocking. You haven't met him. Everybody else knows who this little guy is. This is Lucifer. He is my cat. He says hello. He'll pop in. But yeah, no. So stage and screen and obviously a vastness of product. Um, is there a thing that you'd like?
Yes,
Hmm?
at least one.
uh, but costumes, like how do you deal with costumes? Like, because I know you have a vastness of that. Like, do you just sort of select a general size, or is there like do you figure out? Because both of us are extraordinary gentlemen. Like, do
I
you
I
focus on
don't
big and
have
tall?
I don't have any costumes in my shop that fit me, unfortunately.
Oh no, because you have such great costumes there too. It's
As sad as it is to say, people of our general build do not often make it onto screen.
oh, come now. I've been
It
on
happens.
screen lots of times.
Yeah, the few times I've been on screen, it's because, oh, let's make fun of the fat guy.
I was told by my when I was in theater school, my costume designer said, you better get into movies and television. I said, why is that? She said, because they have a budget that he could actually make you a uniform or what have you. Like, they would build you something custom size. Because she's like, otherwise, get ready for robes for the rest of your life.
Uh, I, most of the costumes that I have are stuck up in my rental stock, are built for people whose bodies I am somewhat envious of because they
I
are tall and slim and muscular.
Pshaw, pshaw, my friend.
So I have lots of military stuff and lots of police stuff and medieval stuff. And I have some stuff that is for bigger guys, but even not so much for me.
Hmm.
Again, I have lots of ropes that fit.
Right, exactly. Make sure the
Exactly.
ropes fit. You also deal with firearms, correct? Like,
I have a huge pile of replica prop firearms.
it is
I,
it, are the laws or Canadian laws cracking down on that, or are you still able to sort of like under the radar a lot of stuff?
I don't know how things are changing. I don't know how the new laws are going to change, and with regards to that, I specifically deal in non-firearms because
Firearms.
yeah, so
Mhm.
a lot of airsoft stuff, a lot of replicas, a lot of rubber stuff, things that, if you're stupid with them, you're not going to hurt anybody else.
Absolutely.
And there are some horrifying stories of people being stupid with rubber guns. And that's that's stories for another time.
Well, as a prop master, you want to make sure that things are taken care of, that you're not leading anybody into unnecessary risk, or what have you. Like, do you sort of like make sure that people understand that, or is it sort of like, dear gods, don't?
Absolutely. I have, for one reason or another, not been able to have a conversation with the prop master, the director, whoever who is renting my prop guns. And on those very rare occasions, something always goes wrong. And it's because people think, oh, it's just a rubber gun. I can wave it around wherever I want and go for a wander in the local bank. Nobody's going to care. And
I gotta go buy some cigarettes. I'll just take this rubber gun and set it on the counter. Yeah, I'll take the Marlboro Lights.
I wish I wish I were making this up. I so wish I were making this up. But people think, oh, it's just a rubber gun. I don't have to pay attention to rules. I don't have to consider other people. Everybody will know that it's a rubber gun. Yeah.
Does the flak fall
very-
back? Does it fall back on you sometimes when that happens? Like the police
Most of
come
the
in and say,
time-
"Hello, Mr. Warrilow, can we have a conversation with you today?"
Most of the time it falls on them because I have people sign paperwork that they promise not to do stupid things. And if they do stupid things, it's their fault and not mine. And my paperwork has saved me on a number of occasions. But
CYA.
I prefer to have a conversation with people when they come to rent any of the rubber guns that I have, because I will tell them, oh, where are you filming? You're filming in the parking lot out behind your apartment building. So have you notified everybody in your apartment building? Have you notified everybody in the apartment buildings around your parking lot? Have you notified the local police department? Have you told everybody that you possibly can that you are A, you are filming and it is just a film, and that B, you will have things that look like guns on set. And if they plan to use something like blank guns, well, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand why these things are not taught in, oh, that's my phone. I do not understand why these things are not taught in colleges and universities who have theater and film courses.
So would you say that it's like what advice would you give to somebody who's just sort of starting out and says the particular business of yours, like that you're like, hey, I really enjoy building stuff. I really love doing this kind of thing, and I want to do this. What advice would you give to the say the next generation of craftsmen?
Know things. Tyrion Lannister, character from Game of Thrones, was famous for saying, I drink and I know things. Anybody getting into this industry, I highly recommend that you learn as much as you possibly can about stuff that you don't think is going to be useful, because it will be useful. Learn about history, learn about musical groups, learn about the individuals in the musical groups, learn about politicians, learn about military equipment, or learn about military characters and people of value, and learn about politicians. Know things. Google is excellent filler. It is not a good, reliable thing instead of knowing and learning stuff. I have a fairly good grounding in military stuff because it's kind of what I deal with. But I don't know everything. I can put together this is a fairly good play on that particular military uniform, but you want something very specific, well, that's a Google thing.
It's like so like the SA uniforms as opposed to SS for like Nazis, if for example, you wouldn't want to make sure that the brown shirt, that particular aspect, you might be able to like snuff it a little bit, but there's people that are going to be sitting there going like, wrong.
Yes, there will be that, but there are a lot of things that can be cheated. We can do this. It's close to the same cut. It's close to the same color. And if we put the correct insignia on it, not very many people are going to care or know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's like, what's the difference between period Vikings and what people think Vikings are?
Oh, absolutely. Viking
One,
or put horns on the helmet, and then you're set.
which one do you want for your show?
Yeah.
I can give you either, but you have to tell me what you want.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Uh, so yeah, no things. You're going to go into business? No things. Understand. So I had a guy in a number of years back. He was doing a docudrama of the Columbine shootings. Uh, one of the big mass school shootings that first
In the 90s, Marilyn
yeah.
Manson was sort of the rock and roll music, and it was I was in school at the time when that went down. That was very much so.
So
Yeah.
this was for, I don't remember what the project was, but he wanted to do a docudrama. So they're talking about it, who the perpetrators were and what they carried, and then recreate it for the camera. And he asked me for an Uzi. And I went to my collection and I found a replica Uzi, and I said, "Oh, okay, here you go." And he says, "No, that's not what I want." Well, this is an Uzi, and here it is on the side. It says Uzi. This is what you asked for. Yeah. So I got everything else that he wanted. He took it all away. He went to go and do the thing. He was bringing stuff back, and I was putting things away. And I pulled down a one of the guns in the gun cabinet to make room for the Uzi. And he said, "Oh, that's what I want. This is not an Uzi. This is a Tech 9." Well, I was just going by what was in the news report. So when you're going to visit somebody like me, do a little bit of research.
Oh
Bring
yeah.
some pictures. If you have only a name, I can only give you the name that you asked for. I can only do what you asked for.
Well, yeah, it's not like I'd show up and ask for, like World War II. If I was doing a thing with the Nazis, I wouldn't show up and ask you for like a Desert Eagle. That would be ridiculous. It's a gun. It's a gun.
I'm doing a thing with the Teutonic Knights in the 13th century, and I want to get their AK-47s accurate.
It's the crucifixion of Jesus. I need to have a Glock. That is the only period accurate piece that will absolutely tie this movie together. And by God, I don't get it. There's going to be issues.
Well, sometimes I have to put on my politic hat, and I can't laugh at my customers or my clients. It's just not appropriate.
Well, it's bad business. Absolutely. If you feel that there was heavy firearms at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, by God, I'll sell you whatever you want.
I'm going to try to leave out some of the details.
All right.
Had a customer a number of years ago. They were looking to rent some Roman armor and some Greek armor and appropriate weapons. They wanted to stage a small battle at this gala they were holding. So I had a guy call me up and he asked me about Roman swords and Greek swords, and Roman shields and Greek shields, and Roman armor and Greek armor. And I gave him prices and I told him what was with. He said, "Thank you very much. I'll call you later." A couple of days later, I had a different guy from the same company ask me all the same questions. And he says, "Thank you very much. We'll be in touch later." A couple of days later, I had a woman from the same company ask me all the same questions. And in the middle, she stops me and says, "Excuse me, what is the difference between a sword and a shield?" So your reaction was the first thing that went through my mind, but I'm not allowed to do that. So
no, you just,
I change gears and get into the teaching mode and says, well, a sword is like a really big, long kitchen knife that you use to attack people with so you can hurt them. Same way you might do a chicken breast, you cut it up.
hmm.
And a shield is much like a garbage can lid that you hold to protect yourself from somebody attacking you with a sword. And the woman said, oh, okay, thank you very much. Conversation carry on.
Funny thing you mentioned that me and my little brother used to take the garbage can lids, and then around our house, we grew up in the prairies. There was lots of survey stakes because guys would be putting in oil lines and all that, pipelines, or so you'd steal a couple of the stakes, and then you grab them, and then you'd you cut it down to roughly a sword length shape, and then you cut like the crossbar, like the handguard, and then you take nails and nail it through and nail the nails down so that you wouldn't do damage. And then you have like a garbage pail lid and a sword, and you beat the hell out of each other because that's the way that it rolls out in the prairies.
I will admit, I did similar things when I was a kid with my best friends out in the back fields behind our house. And that is where I got the inspiration to make the connection. Making the connection between something that I'm reasonably certain she has some experience with, kitchen knives. I mean, do you know anybody who doesn't have a kitchen knife? I don't.
No, not even the people that don't know how to cook, that they still have a knife. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Garbage can lids. Again, it's something that's big and round, usually has a handle in the middle of it. So go with what you can. Mind you, I cannot comprehend
People don't
not knowing what those two things are.
Watch Lord of the Rings, god damn it. It's not that difficult.
So I can understand easily. Oh, what's the difference between a Roman shield and a Greek shield? They're different. They essentially do the same thing, but they are different.
Well,
a Roman sword and a Greek sword. Again, I can understand that, but what's the difference between a sword and a shield?
No, that's a little much.
I mean, in grade 4, kids are taught the medieval section, and they must be learning some of that at that point in time.
Like absolutely,
swords and shields are everywhere in the Middle Ages, whether you're using them or reading them because they're on the heraldry.
So let's just is there anything that you're like particularly proud of, like a real big like, hey, like this my one prop predominantly shone through in a particular show that you want to like share with? Something that like really was like, yeah, this is a thing. This is like, if you watch this show, that's me right there.
It's hard for me to do that, to say that about anything that I built, because when I build stuff, it often is, oh, you can't have this now. I like it. Oh, but I said you can have it. I don't want to give it to you. Every once in a while, some of those things come back. I built a shark for a print ad, and the print ad was something about high blood pressure, I think. And
watch out, it's a secret killer.
Something like that. Watch out, you never know what lies beneath. And it was this guy sitting in a pool in a big donut thing and this shark swimming around underneath. Well, I built the shark for them, and I just loved the shark, and I didn't want to give it up. But I said, okay, I got this for you. And they came and took the shark, and I figured I'd never see it again. Well, about 2 or 3 months later, I get this call from this guy who's looking for some helmets, some web gear, military, World War II stuff. And he says, yeah, but I don't have any money really. I can't really afford much. No, what can you do? And he says, well, I've got this shark that you built for this other show that I worked on. Would you be willing to do a trade? Yes, I would. So I got my shark back. I don't think I was quite that enthusiastic when he made the suggestion. It was probably more along the, oh, well, yeah, I suppose I could do that.
You don't say. You don't say. Oh man, that's awesome. That is really, really quite the thing.
Every once in a while, I built this cool thing for Man Seeking Woman. It was Death's Hourglass. And it was all skulls and the sand glass in the middle. And, I liked it a lot and didn't want to give it up. Well, when the show came to a close, it went into the local auction. And I bought it back for like, I don't know, a tenth of what I paid, what I sold it for. So I managed to get the thing back that I didn't really want to part with.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. Well, I know that you're a busy man, and I could sit and chat with you for hours. Absolutely. But again, you have a business to run. I see your compatriot behind you slaving away. Give away. Who's that in the background there? Is she?
That would be Tyler.
She's been sitting there quite quiet the entire time. So
Tyler is my brain.
Come say hi. Hello.
There we go. Tyler makes certain that the numbers are correct because I don't know numbers. I know numbers. I am less good with numbers than I am with technology, and you know how bad I am with technology.
It's quite an honor to get you on here, let alone.
I kind of wonder if I wasn't here, you might not have been able to do the Zoom.
Shh. I would have figured it out. Eventually.
So on that note, I will let you go. But before I do, is there something like you can at this point in the interview, I usually just say, if you want to plug something, if you want to be like, hey, I'm writing a book, or if I'm I know that you have your shop, if you want to talk about that for a minute or two. As the saying goes, the floor is yours, my friend.
I have a shop full of stuff. If you're doing a show, give me a call. Quite literally, there's a good probability I have something that you need. And I'm used to dealing with smaller companies. This is my business, and I still need to pay bills, but I will try to work within your budget.
And I can attest for this, everyone. His heart is as big as he is, so he's quite nice. And again, that's Fantastic Creations. I'll put link your emails and all that stuff, like how to contact you. I'll put that in the description below.
If we do this again, next time I will try to take a little bit of a tour video through the shop.
Oh, that'd be great. Right now, it's nice to see the man behind the costumes. So it's
I do what I can. Sometimes it's even enough.
exactly, and like that's even that small portion. You can see the tools and equipment behind you, and I've had the opportunity to work back there and have some fun.
Uh,
It's
it's mostly just tools and stuff. I mean, over to this side of here is my robot that you can't see.
Can you turn your computer monitor? I know what kind of computer you have. Can you just give it a no?
No, there's no way I can move this right now. It's a big computer and it's surrounded in so much junk. So,
Maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll come by. We'll do a special like on the spot. I'll bring my camcorder. We'll record everything and be like,
alrighty.
I'll do a fantastic creation. We'll put it on your website or what have you. It'll be a cool thing for people to kind of see just how wonderful and fantastic your creations are. So
I would love to show off my stuff.
That's
And
amazing.
Egbert is the name of the robot. Over there in the corner. And I'm staring at my Furby collection.
which is quite the collection. I have seen it myself in
exactly
person.
the sort of thing you want to show off. You want to creep out some of your viewers.
Look it up
I
here.
have one or two. I've got about 25 Furbies.
I know. my friend fun just before I have a friend, his name's Forbes. He used to work at Radio Shack back when Radio Shack was a thing.
Yep.
And he had he called it the cursed Furby, and the thing wouldn't die.
They're curvy. Furbies are cursed.
It wouldn't die. It wouldn't die. It wouldn't die. He said it just won't die.
I have a Furby here who will not shut up. And that Furby is so bad, we've put him in timeout on the other side of the shop, because if we don't, not only will he activate, but he'll wake up all of the other Furbies. And we got a bunch of them, like 20 of them up there singing and going on about whatever it is that Furbies talk about.
Oh no.
The glowing eyes. Yeah.
Nightmare fuel. That's what that is. Have you seen that extension one? The one guy made a Furby centipede, and it's like this thing. It's like as long as like 20 feet long, and it's all like the same color, and it's just like they're like, look what I wrought. It's like, ugh.
I like my Furbies as they are. And I would never abuse my Furbies in such a fashion.
Oh, of course.
I'm sure there are lots of people out there who would like to take baseball bats to Furbies, and they're mean.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing wrong with those majestic little creatures, much like my cat. Hey, buddy.
There is a scene in a recent animated movie. I can't remember, robots versus the McDowells or something like that. And they come across a giant 10-foot Furby.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I'd buy that.
Well, maybe that's your next project. If you need a welder, let me know. I'll come put the frame together. Well, on that note, my friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I wish you all the best.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon, Bulldog.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too. That was great. Absolutely. I'd like to thank Chris for stopping by, having a lovely fireside chat, as it were. Without the fire, without the side. There was a chat. Yes, indeed. I guess this would be another time for me to plug my sponsorship, which I would gladly do. I'm also on Patreon myself, Bulldog 666999, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Bulldog 666999. Again, thank you for stopping by, and skål.